Coach, coming into it, Western this week's last guaranteed home game. Talk to us about Western.
Yeah, they're a good squad. I don't think their record's indicative of their talent level. They have a lot of talent, and the ball's got to bounce your way sometimes. They've had some games that the ball hasn't bounced their ways, and we're a little unfortunate. But that's a really good football team that we're gonna have to play, and you're gonna have to bring your A game to beat that team. And the teams that have had success versus Western, brought their A games, and teams that didn't, they lost. So I think they're coached well on both sides of the ball. They got good talent, and we'll have to be ready to play.
Clayton, senior day, obviously. You don't always see it with the coaching change, just the amount of guys that stayed. Other programs, kind of everybody leaves. I know you guys had some people leave, but take us through kind of way back when the coaching change happened and deciding that you were staying here your senior year. Was that a group thing? Was that kind of each guy just kind of decided on their own? Just take us through that.
I think it's really a tribute to the culture that we've built and that's been built before us, because, having a senior class that heavy just means that a lot of the guys, believe in playing for something bigger than themselves. And a lot of us seniors kind of embodied that this last off season. There was obviously a lot of, unfamiliar territory, but, being able to stick together with those guys, it made our decision pretty easy. I think in our meeting the day it happened, Carter and I stood up and said, we're here. So I think it was pretty clear to a bunch of the guys that, if we can hold these group of guys together, that we're going to do some good things. So I think just all those guys sticking around just shows the kind of tight group that we have and that we all like to play for each other. And at the end of the day, they're all our brothers and guys we've been with for a while.
Coach, like I said, you don't always have that many guys stick around. So what kind of advantage has it been for you coming in your first year here to have this group of seniors to lean on?
Just incredible. Truly fortunate. We were talking the other day, we had 9 starters that transferred off the team last year, and which, sometimes, what you don't know, you don't know. And all we knew was the dudes that were here wanted to be here, and they wanted to be a Bearcat, and they wanted to do whatever it took to get to where they needed to get. There was nobody that was half in, half out. And so that's powerful, and I'm just fortunate. It's been 10 times better than I could ever have imagined, as far as having a group that never wavered, never asked one question, just said, where do I sign up? Where do I got to show up? What do I got to do? And they did. And, their seniors are a huge reason that we are where we are right now, is because of the way they lead, during that off season, and the way they're carrying themselves in season. And I'm excited because of that leadership. Culture is coached by players. It's because they spend the most time around each other. And so they've really helped establish what our future is going to be, because they've laid such a solid foundation, for these young guys. Say, this is how you practice, this is what you got to do, this is what you got to look like, this is how you got to eat, this is how you got to sleep, this is how you got to study, all those things. So just eternally grateful that, a guy like Clayton is one of those, because he's one of the verbal ones, the vocal ones that doesn't matter if you're a freshman or senior, he's going to take you under his wing and help you out. So truly blessed.
Defensively, the last 3 weeks, the numbers have been incredible. Scoring-wise is what you're trying to hold them down to, but yardage-wise, teams are not moving the ball at all. 3 teams that usually pass the ball quite a bit, all under 100 yards passing against us. What's been going on, Clayton? You're tied for the team late interception, so it's not just the DBs that are making plays. The whole defense is making it. What do you think so far?
I think it just kind of shows, how we play as a unit. A team like Emporia throws the ball really well. The emphasis, the back end, making sure they have a lot of their stuff in, doing all the stuff the right way. But when they can get the quarterback off that first read, that allows us up front to be able to get home and try to affect the throw. A team like Hayes and a team like Kearney that had pretty established, rushing games too. Being able to try to stop that and shut that run down to where we can make them one-dimensional in the passing game. When you can do that, it makes it a little easier on us up front to rush the passer and the back end to cover. So I think we've just played really well as a unit, and I think, a lot of guys that have played together for a little bit too, I think that helps out. But I think, like with Coach Max said, just the leadership piece of it too. I just think we're just having a lot of fun right now. I think you hopefully can see that in the way we play.
Coach, in this day and age, though, yardage for teams passing, that's so rare to have 3 straight under 100 yards. The way teams throw it around.
I don't think you can quite. These guys probably don't quite understand it. I'm just blown away. I mean, to have the college football programs like that do this for a living. Throwing wise, to be shut down. There's so many things that got to go into shutting a passing game down. And it starts with the defensive line, and then it starts with disrupting the receivers, and then D linemen getting interceptions. You're on the all drip team. He fancies himself as a DB. Like he's a DB and a D-line body. With that, in fact, was it 3 weeks ago? They have a couple times where they want the D lineman to drop into coverage, and this is like 2 or 3 yards. And I was watching the defense, and like 18 yards down the field, there's 2 guys on the ground, and it's Twan and Clayton, and they just like both laying on the ground, and I'm like, how the heck did this happen? And I'm like, why is Clayton running into one of our DBs? And Berto, Coach Davis, is like, well, we got a zone blitz where he's dropping back, and Clayton took off chasing a crossing route, and 20 yards down the field and ran into a DB. So he's got skills, he's got the hand, but he fancies I understand. But going back to the original one, it's everybody being on the same page. It's amazing the chemistry, DBs, linebackers, D-line, and they have to pass so many things off and to be structured and take advantage of it. I mean, Emporia State had 8 3-and-outs, which is a lot of 3-and-outs where you just go out and you don't get 1 first down. And like offensively, our goal is never to have more than 3 a game. And if we're less than 3, it's a pretty successful day. So if you have 8, that means the defense is doing really well. So they're on a good path right now. Coach Bostwick has them playing the right way, and then these guys believe in it, take it, and they just study everything. They're very, very, very smart. Like they're a pain in the butt to practice against because they know our stuff better than our guys know. The offense knows the stuff. Sometimes they're calling everything out. So definitely not an accident.
Coach,
Go ahead.
You're good. Coach, I want to ask about senior quarterback Chris Runkey.
Yep.
Captain, has been playing very good at the position as of late.
Yep.
But then I want to stem that question to senior day heading in. Has had to share the ball a little bit across there throughout the year. Kind of talk about his competitivism, his stoicism, his all that stuff as he's going through, and he's helping a redshirt freshman quarterback kind of produce as well.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk about Chris there for a second and how he's carried himself as a captain throughout the year.
Yeah, Chris is like a professional as professional can be. If he ever has something bad or that's bothering him, you'd never have any idea because he's a Bearcat through and through. And so I think he's had to really compartmentalize a lot because you go from, really 2 years of playing a lot of football and really at a high level, and he's a really good quarterback, and then, maybe you got to split, duties a little bit with the new coach and the new offense, and but all he's done is embraced it. And then he's another one that's really like he's teaching these kids how to study in the meetings and how to prepare for a game and how to watch film, and again, those things go a lot further. With like you got Z, you got Mason in there that are all like, okay, Chris, what do you think about this? And he's coaching them up. So really fortunate to have him because he's very calm. He's very like almost too much. And I'm like, God, can you just show a little emotion, every now and then? But he's so stoic, with it, and that really helps the guys, because no moment's too big, too low, and he's always ready to go in, and have it. So, we jumped in where he's going back to like really getting all the snaps, at Emporia and really produced, well, and had a lot of third downs. And so like he's only going to continue to take off, and we're just really grateful that he's there. And I think he's going to have another really good game. And I think that's he's got so much experience, and sometimes you got to share the load. Sometimes you got to do what the coaches think give the Bearcats an advantage, offensively. And he's never come into my office, never said one word, never asked why or under. He's like, whatever it takes, just let me know, whatever it takes, I'll do it. So it's been grateful when guys have that unwavering belief and that this is the best way, and act accordingly.
Clayton, what have you seen from Missouri Western's offense and the way they're going to try to attack you? They like to run the ball, obviously. Quarterback's playing maybe his best football of the season at this point, though. What have you seen from Missouri Western?
Yeah, they're a physical team. Every time I've played against them in my time here, they've had a physical line. So we're going to have our hands full. They're going to want to run the ball on us, and the quarterback's done some good things. He's a guy that can move around pretty well too. So we just got to be on it this week, and we got to know that it's going to be a physical game, and just make sure we're doing everything we need to, in the background of things to make sure that we're mentally prepared. And then when it's time for Saturday, it's got to be ready for a physical battle.
Coach, going against their defense, they've been good against the run this year for the most part, and then kind of struggled against the pass. Just what have you seen from them, and what's going to be the keys to attacking them on Saturday? Yeah,
they're the number one rushing defense, in the conference. so that's not an accident this late in the season, with it. And they have what in my opinion, they create chaos on defense. They're slanting all over. They're, got guys coming in this gap. They'll line things up. Like, again, they have good presentation of schemes, with that. And then, occasionally they're going to hang guys, ask their DBs or, to go on islands and cover. And sometimes teams make them pay. Sometimes they don't, with that. But they rely on getting to this quarterback, getting safe. They got a really good, 91's a great player. He might be one of the better D linemen we played against all year that, gives us issues. They jump in from an odd front to an even front, play some guys. So they're going to, just like every team we played so far, they're going to do something to try and, that gives you issues. And then, we've got to make sure we make adjustments to it, to answer, their adjustments and hopefully have a solid day. But they do enough stuff that, they keep you up at night. We're going to have our hands full getting ready for them for sure. But come Saturday, our guys on both sides of the ball will be ready to go.
Clayton, what does it mean to be a Bearcat to you? It's senior day on Saturday, just been here for 4 years. What does it mean to be a Bearcat?
I think to me being a Bearcat just means, being a part of something bigger than yourself. You can break that down a couple different ways, but like, Saturday, given the enormity of the game and a senior day and something, that only happened once, I think just being in the moment a little bit will be, nice to kind of look around for a second and realize where you're at. I was talking over there, just being able to, playing games that still have meaning this point in the year, just because years past it hasn't been that way. So, just being able to enjoy it, and at the same time, I think being a Bearcat means, really creating a family with those around you. And I think within our program, it's easy to do with our guys. And, I feel like, there's going to be guys that are in my wedding, guys that, I'm in their wedding, and it's just, you see that in the real life outside of football. So I think just being a Bearcat really means the family aspect, and then also being a part of something bigger than yourself would be what I'd say.
Who was in charge of the D-line hats? Where'd those come from? And why?
They're asking the right guy.
Coach Mack, I assumed I might be.
So Niall, Shutt, and Cooper Berry and I, we were on a road, and we do, every position group does like hoodies or something, and we're doing those too. We're like, we should do some hats. And I actually knew somebody back home that kind of, did that kind of stuff, so I reached out to them. And now you'll see there's tons of people that have the hats, a lot more than I'd expect. But I guess technically us two are the ones behind it. But I guess I'm in charge of supplying the orders.
I was going to say,
Swag
you
man.
better be getting the kickback.
Not yet.
Great
no.
hat, yeah.